Hi everyone, Charles from the Food People here. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. It's my great pleasure to welcome Antonio and Roberta, the inspirational husband and wife team behind Il Consiglio di Sicilia from Donnalucata, a small fishing village in southern Sicily. Today, we're going to be talking about their backstory. We're going to be talking a little bit about Italian literature, philosophy, nostalgia, and of course, the food, the signature dishes, and the wines. So welcome, Antonio and Roberta. It's great to have you here.
Ciao.
Ciao,
thank you for inviting.
Great. Well, just before we get on to the discussion, a little bit about the In Conversation with series. At the Food People, we're very clear about why we do what we do. We're champions of change, driven every day by our intent to shift the future of food by harnessing and connecting with the power of trends. And in this In Conversation with series, it's all about talking to people and brands and businesses across the spectrum of food and drink to find out more about why they do what they do, how in their way they're championing change and shifting the future of food and drink. So Antonio and Roberta, it's fantastic to be speaking to you today. We've got lots of fascinating topics I know to discuss, but let's start with what is Il Consiglio di Sicilia? Where is it? Let's help the audience imagine the setting of where you are.
Okay, the Il Consiglio di Sicilia is in Sicily, of course, in the extreme south of Sicily.
Okay.
In the Baroque heart of the island, and in a quiet seaside village named Donnalucata.
Okay.
And if I can tell, Donnalucata, I think that everybody knows that donna means woman in Italian.
Yeah.
So people tend to think, oh, Italians, Sicilians are so romantic, they named their villages after donna, donna, donna. But actually, it was an Arabic name. And donna means water source. Water was very important for life.
Okay.
And so Arabic rulers were telling, this is a place with water, you can found a village there. Yeah, voilà.
Yes, imagine the village of Donnalucata. Now imagine a little square and filled with jasmine and the pomegranate and the carbos tree.
Oh, wow.
This is the Il Consiglio di Sicilia.
It sounds amazing. I must ask you, what's also, and you talked a little bit about the name of the village there, but what's in the name of Il Consiglio di Sicilia? My understanding, it links to the Italian writer Leonardo Sciascia. Is that? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, Leonardo Sciascia is among my favorite writers. And I was looking for a name for my new restaurant, and Il Consiglio d'Egitto, Egypt Council, came to my mind. This. And I just added a mindful variation, Il Consiglio di Sicilia, Sicily Council.
So yeah, the original is Il Consiglio d'Egitto, and it's a whole story, a guy who invents a part of Sicilian history that really doesn't exist, so he makes it up. And Sicily's Council is our mission, and so our mission is inside our name.
Yes, because we are ambassadors of Sicilian ingredients,
right?
Sicilian recipe and local tradition.
And is there any other kind of connection with the text or the book? I love the fact that you look to literature for the inspiration of your restaurant name. Why is that?
Books have a big part in our single life, in my life, in Antonio's life. Of course, I'm also a writer and a translator, so books are my daily bread. And we were meeting because of a book. I was writing a huge book on Italian regional cuisines, and I came here. I was writing here. When I write in English, I get a vigorous editing. I was writing together with an American friend, Jan Wisenga, and Jan used to live in Sicily at the time, in this very area. So I was joining her, and I came to the restaurant to review it. And because I was writing a book, Antonio was naming the restaurant after his book. Yeah. We fell in love because we found out that we loved the same book, and our wine shop is named after another book. So books are very important for us, really a big part of our lives.
What a wonderful story. Let me ask a little bit about the food and the wine experience. Il Consiglio di Sicilia. It's a coming together of what you both bring to it. It's a kind of the coming together of two halves. Tell us a little bit about the unique experience that you're striving to create in the restaurant.
Yes, we strive to attend to people happiness for the time you spend with us.
Yeah.
Happiness is the most important to us. And I mean happiness for people who sit at our table, of course.
Yeah.
And also happiness for people who work with us.
Of course.
I think it's more difficult.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Because happiness makes Il Consiglio di Sicilia a unique experience, not only for our guests, but also for our staff.
Yeah. Okay. And when you talk about happiness, how does that manifest? What does that mean? How do you know when it's working?
First of all, I have to say that the Italian word for happiness is felicità. And felicità derives from an Indo-European word, very ancient, that indicates the state of well-being of the newborn just fed at his or her mother breast.
Yeah.
So the first the first kind of happiness that Italians feel in their life is mama's food.
Yeah, okay.
And this explains a lot about Italians, because so the word happiness for Italians is really related to food. And the first happiness we feel in our life is a food happiness.
Yeah. Okay.
So, happiness for us is just serving very good food, cooking very good food, serving it in a very friendly and welcoming way, sure. In a beautiful setting. And now we are inside our wine shop and wine bar. But outside there's this beautiful little square with the carrot trees, the jasmine trees, the pomegranate trees, and this is also beauty, is happiness.
Yeah, okay. And that also explains why the happiness, and also why food and also family are so important to Italians as well. There's a really nice connection there as well. Antonio, I'm intrigued about your journey to becoming a chef. When I interviewed many chefs, and they tell stories of learning to cook by their mother's side. Tell us about your journey. Was that the way you connected with food, or was it a different way?
Alas, nor my mama and nor my nonna were great home cooks. I had to learn how to cook by myself.
Okay.
As a university student in Catania, and as a student, I wanted to buy a motorbike.
Of course.
And motorbike are expensive.
Okay. Yes, indeed.
And, so I went to work in a restaurant, and I fell in love with the restaurant life.
Right.
And plus, I got a shiny new motorbike. My wife loved motorbikes, and she was a food journalist.
Yeah.
You see my point?
Yes.
A chef with a motorbike.
Yeah.
I fell in love.
Yes, of course. And do you still enjoy the motorbike now?
Oh, yes. every time Antonio tells me, oh, I want to sell the motorbike, I say, well, I'm just divorcing.
It's part of the connection, right? What about the building that the restaurant sits in today? What is that? Is there any connection there for you? Tell us about the building, the location.
Yes, because the building where Il Consiglio di Sicilia is located was the house of my nonna,
okay,
my grandmother. And as a child, I spent my summer here.
Oh wow!
I loved this house, and I wanted to give it a new life.
Sure.
Done.
Yeah, yeah. And how does that make you? How does that make you feel to cook in the house of your grandmother every day? How does that feel?
Yes, it's very strange for me because I cooking in all the kitchen of my grandmother. This is strange for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And by the way, Antonio cooks much better than his grandmother. Grandma was a great woman, a village businesswoman, yes. Very special, one of a kind. But cooking was not her cup of tea.
No. That's a really lovely connection to talk about the food. I have not been to the restaurant. I will come, but I've seen the most incredible images of the food. Can you tell me a little bit about your approach, your food, your philosophy, if you like, to food? What is it all about?
Elegant simplicity is my food mantra.
Yeah. Okay.
And elegant simplicity means not too much preparation. Stick to ingredients.
Yeah.
Be faithful to ingredients' personality, and of course, be contemporary.
Yeah.
Ask my wife, for example.
Go on then. Give us some examples then.
You can imagine that past centuries, Sicilian cuisine was heavier, like with more seasonings, and be contemporary means be light, and also think at the health of people, take care of people's health, which doesn't, if it come to us, well, everybody says, oh, this was so good, and this was so good, and this was so good, but we also know this was so healthy, and this is part of our pride, because attending to people's happiness is now, but also tomorrow, and this evening, overnight, when you are digesting, and we want your experience here will be a wonderful memory of your Sicilian trip, and thinking at our health is part of our mission.
Yeah, okay. Can I ask a little bit more about the menu and the dishes, and what inspires those dishes? Where does that inspiration come from? Is it the ingredients? Is it recipes you've seen in the past, or what feeds your inspiration for the dishes?
Fish and seafood is just gorgeous in Sicilian seas.
Yeah.
Of course. From noble red tuna to humble sardines.
Yeah.
And the Sicilian black truffle is not well known yet, but we are working on it. Spaghetti with vongole and Sicilian black truffle, for example.
Yeah. So I think that Antonio really means that the ingredients are a lot of inspiration.
Yes.
Because really, we are blessed with ingredients. I have been living all over the world when I was a journalist, and I chose Southeast Sicily before meeting Antonio, just because of quality life. And quality life for me is bread, tomatoes, olive oil.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And here it's amazing. Plus some decent people.
Yes, of course. Tell us a little bit about some of the ingredients that you work with. Help us kind of connect with you've talked then about the bread and the tomatoes and the olive oil, but I'm imagining you have Yes. Okay. Talk to me. What is this?
Wow. This is extremely local and extremely seasonal. It's called tenerumi. It only exists in Sicily.
Okay.
And it's the tendrils and sprouts of a long zucchini.
And velvet.
And it's a velvety, like I dream of somebody in the beauty system making a mask of this. It's a velvety leaf, and it's sweet and meaty.
Okay.
So we serve this part of the year. There's a traditional soup made here from this tenerumi, which is like a tender grass, tender leaves.
Yeah.
In English. So ingredients are really spoiling us. And here we have the tuna bottarga. For the ones not familiar with bottarga, it's a Sicilian staple. It's made from the tuna eggs, and we dry it, we cure it. It's a bit like a salami.
Yeah.
And then we shave it, we make a sauce together with Donnalucata carrots.
Yeah.
Behind the beach, there's a very long beach, California style long beach,
okay.
Donnalucata. And behind the beach, we grow carrots, we grow corn, we grow potatoes. And so they have some saltiness in
yes.
it.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. And then another inspiring ingredient is the pizzuta almonds. Yes. Almond is called pizzuta because of this little corner. This is pizzo. In Sicilian. And you also say pizzuta or pizzuto of a person, a man or a woman, really brave and bold.
Yeah.
So that guy is pizzuto, brave and bold. So these brave and bold almonds inspired Antonio to renew a Sicilian classic, which is beccafico sardines.
Yes. Use this almond al posto, come si dice?
Instead of?
Yes, instead of peanuts.
Yeah,
pine nuts.
The tradition asks for pine nuts, but pine nuts have become ubiquitous and with no personality. So it's very difficult. We were striving to find amazing pine nuts, and we said, okay, but we have pizzuta almonds in our garden, in our orchard. Let's try it. And so this is a very successful variation.
Tell me about this dish then. How do you prepare it? Tell me.
You mean the beccafico sardines?
Yeah.
Well, the beccafico sardines, it's a Sicilian staple. You find beccafico sardines in every town, in every village, and I would say that even every family in Sicily has its own recipe. So you will find fried beccafico sardines, stuffed with cheese beccafico sardines, hot beccafico sardines. It depends on the family. And because Mama and Nonna were not great home cooks, they really didn't want to fry. It makes your kitchen dirty. You don't want to go that for the ladies. And so the family variation was put your beccafico sardines in the oven. And Antonio was starting from these. So he uses a steamed oven. So the beautiful skin of the sardines doesn't bring up. No. And the skin is smooth and silver-like. And the filling is very light. It's made with pizzuta almond and homemade breadcrumbs.
Orange, onion, tomato sauce.
And just, can I tell it? Just a little, I'm telling you, just a little ginger, okay?
A little ginger, yeah, okay.
It doesn't need to know what I told you. This makes it slightly pungent and very one of a kind. So we have people who come after years and they say, are you still making beccafico sardines?
Oh, really? Yeah, they come back. It's a signature. They come back for it, right?
It's one of our signature dishes.
Yes. Tell me about some of the other signature dishes that you have on the menu. Some of your favorites.
My favorite is spaghetti with vongole and truffle, because it's very simple and only 2 ingredients, clams and truffle.
Yeah,
it's the best.
But it's a Sicilian truffle, and I think that not a lot of people know that we do have truffles in Sicily. Yeah. Of course, forget Perigord, forget Lange, and that Sicilian.
Very delicate.
Yeah, we're talking about the Sicilian summer truffle, so it's delicate. It doesn't cover up the vongole, it just pairs with. Like a pianist with a singer. The pianist is just.
And the meeting of the land and the sea, of course, as well.
Yeah, wow, we are blessed. Like the red tuna, now is the season of red tuna, but we have the Mazzara red prawns. We have a special agreement with the fishermen from Mazzara. So the red prawn from Mazzara is something that we have all year long.
Okay.
We never run out. And of course, we have amazing sea urchins from the sea, octopus, local octopus.
Oh, amazing.
Walk to the restaurant from the sea. They knock at the door.
And how do you prepare the octopus, as an example? How would you prepare that?
The octopus prepare boiled and after grilled.
Yeah.
With potatoes and rosemary.
Oh wow.
And very simple and good.
And we have a brand new version with local chickpeas.
Okay.
So it's a kind of Sicilian answer to hummus.
This is very, very new.
And
yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yesterday, so new. Yes, yeah. So Sicilian chickpeas are blitzed with some olive oil and some lemon.
Yeah, it's called the salmorillo. Salmorillo is a sauce prepared by fishermen, and it's something very easy to do with what you have on a boat while you are fishing. So you get some parsley in olive oil with some lemon, and it makes your fish and a little garlic, and it makes your fish really tasty. And so we also use salmorillo sometimes for vegetables. It really enhances the vegetable as well.
Amazing.
Another signature dish is bruciatini. Bruciatini with bottarga.
Yes.
And carrots.
Yeah, okay.
And bruciatini is a smoked spaghetto.
Smoked spaghetti.
Yeah.
Smoked, yes.
Bruciatini means burnout in bruciare means burn, and bruciato means burnout. So we call this spaghetti made with a smoked wheat bruciatini, but they are spaghetti with a smoky hint. And this is an interesting story of South Italy, not only Sicily. In the south, when they were harvesting wheat, then they had to burn the fields.
Yeah. Yeah.
While burning the fields, the little grains were smoked. And of course, the people, the workers you didn't get to pay, wives and children, were sent to collect every single smoked grain, because Italy was a poor country. The southern Italy was even poorer.
Yeah.
And so this food was not wasted. They were milling it, and because of the Maillard chemical reaction, that the food, when it's burned it becomes really tasty. And so everybody wanted the smoked, the burnout wheat, and it has become a special wheat to make pasta. Wow. And a friend of ours makes it in Abruzzo. So we usually use only Sicilian ingredients. We have a couple of exceptions when we go visit some friends outside Sicily, friends who really do unique ingredients for us.
That sounds a smoked pasta, and I've never heard of that. That sounds absolutely incredible. I love pasta, and I love anything that has this smoked umami Maillard type flavor. That sounds absolutely incredible. What?
Antonio says you must have some Italian ancestors then. If you're a lover. Yeah, you know, with this botarga and carrot sauce, it's something that we have been shipping all through the lockdown, but this is another story. But
yeah,
this is a special sauce that people from abroad can have it.
Amazing.
When
you think about your signature dishes, do you have? We've talked a lot about dishes that are centered around ingredients from the sea or from the land in Sicily. What do you have any sweet signature dishes?
Yes, of course, our cannolo, rated among the 10 best in Sicily.
Well, I have to ask you then, why is it amongst the 10 best?
For the shell.
Yeah, the shell. Antonio was really trying hard on the shell because, you know, the classical, I mean, the cannolo that makes its way abroad is usually the Palermo, the Western Sicily cannolo. And the crust, the shell, is really thick.
Yes.
So what we don't really like about this cannolo is that you end up chewing the crust while because it's the ricotta is gone.
Too sweet in Palermo.
And then, you know, because cannolo has been in Sicily forever, there's a whole story about cannolo, and cannolo has been in Sicily before refrigerators were invented. Before refrigerators, to preserve your sweet, you really needed a lot of sugar inside. Plus, before refrigerator, people were poor, so they didn't eat so much sugar. And when you were eating sugar, cannolo was a nuptial, a wedding sweet. So once a year, or when somebody gets married, you celebrate with a cannolo. And this cannolo has all the sugar you're having all the year around. But now it's not like that. There are people having cannolo every day. So, and plus we have refrigerators now. And we don't need that much sugar anymore. But so we really use a minimum amount of sugar, which enhances the quality of local ricotta. We use a Donnalucata ricotta made here by 2 young voters. And
inside just lemon and orange.
Yeah, and we just flavor with lemon and oranges, so you don't have crunchy pistachio, crunchy chocolate, crunchy baroque things. So it's very contemporary, like essential. But the big Antonio's work here has been on the cannolo shell, which is really thin and fragile, and it melts in your mouth together with the ricotta filling. So you have a memory of one thing, not the crust and the ricotta. But
I worked about the cannolo for 3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had to eat all the experiment, not good. It was me eating.
It sounds incredible. I'm salivating.
Since Antonio has been happy with the result, no more cannoli for Roberta.
No. I have to ask you, Antonio, when you were at university, you studied philosophy. Is there a meeting point between where food and philosophy connect together, do you think?
The first philosopher to put the food and the philosophy together was a Sicilian philosopher, Archestratus, in Latino. And he wrote a book on eating well as a life philosophy.
Oh, wow. Incredible. So that is an inspiration for you, right?
Yeah, and Archestratus was living like 50 kilometers away from Donnalucata, and in the village of Gela. And this book is really interesting. So he discusses, you have to have these fish just in the early spring, and then if you catch it later, leave it. It's no longer good. But all the idea was living in harmony, and living in harmony food was a big part of it.
Yeah. With harmony with nature and the seasons and this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very conscious that it's not just about the food is clearly central to the offer at Consiglio di Sicilia, but it's also about the wine. Can you tell me, Roberta, a little bit about your philosophy, your approach to wine? And I know already that you enjoy challenging some of the norms, the normal things that we expect from wine. Can you bring that, explain that for everybody?
Yeah, I think, I have been a food journalist and a restaurant reviewer for 20 some years. And so I've seen quite a lot of restaurants in my life. And what I was really noticing and not appreciating was that wines were becoming the new religion. And wine is pleasure. I studied Greek literature at university, and I still remember a verse of Le Baccanti by Euripides. And in this verse, this verse reads, there is no more joy on the table if wine is missing.
Yeah. Okay.
So joy, wine is about joy. It's about happiness. It's about sharing good moments with friends. Please, no religion with wines.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to know all the story. But Charles, you go to a chef nowadays and you tell, oh, I really loved your starter. Does the chef tells you, oh yes, and I was trying the botarga for 3 months and then I was cutting it, and then no, the chef says, thank you, Charles. I'm happy you loved it. But you go to a winemaker nowadays or to a sommelier and you say, I really love this wine. And the sommelier or the winemaker start telling you, oh yes, 3 days on the skins. And then when it starts the fermentation, then let me tell you about the malolactic. And iron and then oak, but not really oak, the barrel. It's a small. Mamma mia. No, I just want poetry. Wine is about poetry. It's about emotions.
Yeah.
Plus, normal people, like the 95% of people, the not sommelier, not winemaker ones,
not journalists,
love wine and want a good moment, and they don't want to know anything technical about wine.
Yes.
So I made a wine listing telling you some inspirational sentences about what you can find, which emotions you can find in this wine. Like of a aged Caricante, I would remember Oscar Wilde's sentences. It's like a mature woman. Oscar Wilde used to say, you only have to hang out with mature ladies or younger gentlemen, because they both have interesting stories to tell you.
Yeah.
And so this aged Caricante is like a mature lady. It has a lot of stories to tell you. People say, oh, I want to listen to Caricante stories. or a Moscato di Noto oxidated on the skins. I will never tell you how many hours on the skins.
No.
I will tell you, this is a schizophrenic Moscato. To the nose, it tells you all the fruity stories of Moscato. To the palate, it's dry and almost oxidated.
Yeah.
And sometimes we are in the era of politically correct speaking. Sometimes I'm not, but since I'm a mature lady now, I can tell amazing stories of wines. People just love it. So I can tell, this red Syrah will make love with your tuna steak. This is what you want to have fun. People say, okay, let's have it.
Yes, let's have it. And the wines, are they all from Sicily or from other parts of Italy, or exclusively from Sicily?
Our mission, Charles, we are Il Consiglio di Sicilia. So our wine list is considered as a trip all through Sicily. And we always start bubble, white wine. We always start from Donnalucata So the first page is always dedicated to Donnalucata, or to the area of Donnalucata and Ragusa, and then we go all around Sicily. So if you know where you want to drink, oh, I was in Western Sicily at the local wine, I want to try it, voila. And I always, there's a little geographic map, so you always know from where your wine is coming. And of course, because we are named Il Consiglio di Sicilia, not only tourists, but even the Sicilians themselves come here, and they know that they will find some Sicilian wine they still don't know. So like people come here and okay, you tell me what I drink tonight. I have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun together.
And you continue to challenge some of the rules around wine with La Grande Sete. What is this? Explain this to me. What are you trying to achieve with that?
Yeah, well, La Grande Sete is the wine shop where we are now, and La Grande Sete is named after a novel by Antonio Russello. Russello is my favorite writer, and he is not well known, but he was among the biggest writers in the past century in Italy, not only in Sicily. And La Grande Sete, the big thirst, tells a story in Agrigento, where the big Greek temples are, in the 50s of past centuries. So La Grande Sete, because there was no water in Sicily, no water for people in Agrigento, the big thirst. And at La Grande Sete, it's not like usually you go to a wine shop and you have the regions or the countries, France shelf, and Germany shelf, and Italy shelf, and Spain shelf, and blah, blah, blah. And here, no. We have, again, we describe the emotions. So the shelves behind me are La Grande Sete, the big thirst shelf. And it doesn't matter the level of price, they are white, they are bubbly, they are rosé, they are red. These wines, the big thirst, are really drinkable wines.
Yeah, okay.
The kind of wine that when you are half bottle, you say, Roberta, do you have another one? Don't you? You want more. And then we have the book, Siciliani Prepotenti, Arrogant Sicilian, and the shelf is or patronizing Sicilian. I also like the patronizing word. On this shelf, it doesn't matter, they are shy rosé from Pantelleria Island, they are white wines, but they are expressing the Sicilian personality in a strong and bold way. So they are, and then I have my favorite shelf. It's a book named, entitled Mia suocera beve, My Mother-in-Law Drinks. And I don't know about mother-in-laws in your country. In Italy, mother-in-laws have really a sweet tooth. So they love fruity wines or dessert wines. This is something that you can give your mother-in-law to keep her busy. And then I have the abandoned woman. The abandoned woman has a lot of resources. Some of them are alcoholic, like great red wines, great bubbles. We have a big shelf of Sicilian bubbles. And of course, we have the refugio, the escape. The escape is a lot of champagne and Sicilian bubbles. Another favorite shelf is l'Isola Innocente, the innocent island, and it features all our Sicilian natural wines, which is a big thing right now, as you can imagine. And voila, so this is the way we have a wine list where you can have a glass of the wine and the book together. So even if you come by yourself, you can have a book, something to read, and something to drink, and of course something to nibble.
It sounds like you have a shelf that describes all of the different facets of the Sicilian personality.
Yeah, exactly. And because all our projects and all our lives are so full of books, so books are what makes our life different. And what I really enjoy, books are of course not my core business. And I even don't make money. I don't care about making money. It's about living ideas, traveling.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm so happy when people find the book on the shelf and they say, "Oh, are you selling these?" Yes. So I'm starting reading it here, and then I taking it home.
No, that's wonderful. How has your partnership with Antonio developed the experience or the proposition at Consiglio di Sicilia? And how do you see this evolving into the future?
Wow, the future, we have been living very interesting times. Like Antonio opened it in 2008, the big crisis. I was in New York. I saw Lehman Brothers falling apart. And I said, let me go back home. With the money I have, I can still afford a property in Sicily. Perhaps in a couple of years, I can only afford a couple of shoes. And I have a lot of shoes. I didn't need shoes. But the Sicilian house was a great project. So we survived to the big economical crisis. We survived to COVID. We have been the first Sicilian restaurant shipping dinners all through Italy and Europe. And so we don't know. It's a complicated time, and we don't know what will happen now. But we do have a very interesting project. One of that is a nomad project. So beware, we may be knocking at your door with pots and pans and cooking for you at home where you are.
Yeah, well, that sounds incredible. Yeah, that sounds very exciting. I mean, you touched then on, and my final question really is around, the world we live in is changing. There are lots of geopolitical forces impacting on food and drink. Consumers are changing. How do you see the future at Consiglio di Sicilia, and how do you adapt to the changing context around you?
Well, here allow us to be a little arrogant, and I really think that we have been forerunners of a tendency, and this trend is what we call elegant simplicity. Yeah. I think that all the Michelin star, blah, 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 has become a little boring. Not really contemporary anymore. Sourcing local ingredients, supporting small communities. During lockdown, we have run a project all over the world. The project was supporting our artisans. So we were contacting our customers all over the world. And we have been shipping local ingredients to Tokyo, to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, to the United States, all through Europe. And I was really proud when people were, what I needed to involve artisans in this project is your personal mobile phone. And people were calling millers, olive oil makers, honey makers from all over the world, yes, directly to say, hello, calling from Germany, and I got your honey. I want 50 jars of your honey. And voila, so this was amazing. I really think that the success of one person is the success of all the village, of the terroir. Yeah. And the terroir success is the success of everybody. So we are really striving now. This is our mission here. And some people are not ready yet. But when you make a community stronger, amazing things will happen.
Yeah. Amazing. But so inspiring to speak to you both today, and I feel like I could talk to you for hours, but unfortunately we have to conclude this episode of the Food People in Conversation with Antonio, Roberta. On behalf of us all at the Food People and the In Conversation with audience, thank you so much for joining me today, for sharing your story, the wonderful connection between books and literature and food, and bringing to life Donnalucata and Sicilian food culture. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you today, and I know a few people that are listening to this are coming to Sicily in the summer of this year in 2022, and I've told them all about Consiglio di Sicilia, and they will come and find you. And I'm sure that those listening that aren't coming to Sicily this summer will be putting it on their travel plans for the future. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Waiting for you all here.
Thank you. So do join our TFP community for the details of our latest In Conversation with episodes, as well as the latest free to access food and drink trends foresight. Visit thefoodpeople.co.uk and complete your details at the footer of the page. On behalf of Antonio and Roberta and myself, thanks for listening to the Food People in Conversation with. Join with us in the trends of today and the foresight of tomorrow to shift the future of food and drink. Thanks for listening.